I have a friend named Edie that everybody loves. It's unanimous. She's just great. She volunteers all over the place with a special focus on serving the elderly. Before she retired, her job was serving organizations that were totally focused on feeding hungry people and eliminating hunger. She never had kids of her own, but she's the mother figure to probably 6 adults in the world that turn to her for all of the wisdom that she can provide. And when you tell her any of this, when you tell her, Edie, you're just amazing, she always says the same thing. She says, glory be to God. No matter what you say in a compliment to her, she'll say, glory be to God. It might sound like she's evading the compliment, but she's actually just telling the truth. We hear in the first reading today that Moses' followers were all riled up. They were like, Moses, you won't believe it, but there's people out there spreading God's word without credentials. We gotta stop them. And Moses said, glory be to God. And they said, no, you don't understand. They were not authorized to do this. And Moses says, glory be to God. This is what we want. This is good news, not bad. Same thing with the apostles and Jesus. They say, Jesus, we've got some crazy news. There's people out there doing good works without supervision. And Jesus says, glory be to God. Look, it's working. This is the first bit of evidence we've had that all of this effort is paying off. It's working. And they go, but wait a minute. If they go out and do this, we're not going to get the credit. There's the rub. But then we won't get the credit. And Jesus says, right. God gets the credit. Glory be to God. In our parish staff meetings, we try to live the spirit of this gospel out in a small way. We have what we call strategy meetings once a month, and they're for kind of longer-term issues and puzzles that we face. Like, we'll try to figure out how to get our arms around a problem that's not easy to solve, one that has a bunch of different parts. Like how do we make it easier for parents with kids to come to Mass every week? How do we remove the many barriers that make it hard to get to Mass? Right now, one of the things we're working on is, how do we sell tickets for our gala that's happening in January in a way that is fair for everybody, so everybody gets a crack at it, so that they don't all sell out at the 4 o'clock Mass and then everyone at the 11:15 is on a waiting list? How do we do that? One of the general rules that we have for that is that we all root for the best idea, no matter who has it, no matter where it comes from. In a lot of organizations, the idea has to come from the boss, or else it's not going to go anywhere. The boss has to come up with the idea. And here, that puts too much pressure on me and Gary, our chief of staff. We don't want that pressure, because we don't always have the best ideas. A lot of times when we're in a meeting, it'll be Ben who will come up with the best idea. He's got a great perspective, from the point of a musician and a young person. So sometimes Ben will come up with an idea and we'll be like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. In some churches, it wouldn't work like that. They'd be like, Ben, thanks, but why don't you stick to music, buddy? But why would we do that if he's got the best idea? So the key to this is that you have to let go of caring who gets the credit. You've got to love the ideas and want the best idea to prevail, no matter who it came from. Jesus, I think, would say to us, in the spirit of this gospel, if needing to get the credit is causing you to sin, cut it out. Let go of it right now. That is breeding division. Needing to be right is a drug. It gives you a high, but it's not good. Like a lot of drugs, it causes way too many problems and side effects. I saw a meme recently that made me laugh. It said, "The world is divided into those who think they are right," end of saying. The world is divided by those who think they are right, and that's it. We all think we're right. And needing to be right means that someone else has got to be wrong. And that creates division. I think the gospel would say, if needing to be right is upsetting Christ, you got to cut it out. That's not what he wants for us. So we've got to just let it go. The best way to promote unity is to begin by not causing division. Our small groups begin this week, and we're very excited about this next session. It's going to be good. It's all focused on the Mass. The Diocese of Albany got a grant, a pretty substantial grant last year, to create a documentary about the Mass using local priests. They invited me to be a part of it too, and to break it down into 5 digestible chunks so that you can understand the Mass clearly. And we've actually posted them on our website. You can check it out anytime. Just go to Get Involved and then Small Groups, and then there they are. Each of the videos you can just click on. And then I'm going to do a follow-up series on my own perspective on each of the videos. It's going to be really helpful. One of the things we're starting with this week is the whole idea of coming together at Mass. Just the whole idea of gathering and what happens when we make the decision, I'm going to go to Mass today, and then we get there. This is a really interesting topic, actually, because Mass is one of the only places where people congregate, make a congregation to come together, each from their own place, but they come together for a common purpose. This is one of the only places you're going to go where you may be sitting next to someone who votes really differently than you do. You may be just a few feet away right now from a Republican or a Democrat, someone who's different than you are, and we're all sitting together. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to give the sign of peace to each other. That's kind of a miracle, isn't it? The church does a brilliant thing by starting us off with singing, because it means we're all singing off the same sheet of music, if you know what I mean, literally and figuratively. So we wind up getting this song with positive lyrics, and we all have to sing together. And here's what's even better, and we don't even realize it. In order to sing together, you've got to breathe together. You've got to draw in a breath with everybody else all at the same time, so that we're all singing off the same sheet of music. And when you breathe together, it's automatically following that your hearts are going to start beating together. So by the first moments of Mass, the dream is already becoming a reality. It's already happening. God found a tricky way to get us to breathe together and to become one. So this week we are being invited to consider, where am I in this? What is the thing I need to do to create more harmony, more unity in my life? Jesus said, if your eye was causing you to sin, you should pluck it out, throw it away. It's no good to you. And there may be something in our life that needs to be plucked. Do we need to pluck out some topics from our life? Do you remember what our grandparents taught us? A lot of us remember our grandparents saying, when you're in polite company, remember that phrase? Polite company does not bring up 3 topics. And we've kind of abandoned that. It's like we forgot that our grandparents told us that. We launch right into the most divisive topic the first second we sit down with someone. Why do we do that? Our grandparents knew better than that. There's certain things you don't bring up right away. You know who knows this lesson well, I think, is children with adult siblings. Are you an adult sibling with somebody else? You have to figure out how to be an adult sibling with others. Because in a lot of families, we have to learn there's certain things that when we're together, we don't bring up, because that always gets one or another of us really upset. How about honoring birth order without making the same mistakes of the past? A lot of times when we're young, the firstborn does all the talking and the baby doesn't get listened to. Oh, she's just a baby, he's the baby. But what if the baby is 65 years old now? Do you suppose we can listen to the baby this time? The baby might be retired and have grandchildren, but we don't want to listen to the baby? No, we have to let go of birth order determining everything if we want to have harmony in our families with our adult siblings. We've got to learn about the stories from the past that are funny to bring up and the ones that aren't funny, that maybe someone is the butt of the joke and they don't want you to bring that up. That makes them feel bad, and that doesn't promote harmony. Is letting go of needing to be right the thing that you're being invited to do? Letting go of getting credit for things? Just letting the best idea prevail instead of having it come from you? As we reach this 50-day mark until the election, is it the right time to maybe stop watching so much political news so that we actually have other things to talk about? If all we're watching is our favorite political channel, then when we go to dinner with our friends, we're going to have to talk about that because we haven't thought about anything else in a long time. Could we maybe get a diet of some more things than just politics so that we actually have some things to talk about? Maybe pumpkin spice things? We are congregating here because we have found something that we all agree on. We know that God is worthy of praise, and we've come here to acknowledge that everybody here was also made by God, that we come from the same Creator, and we come here and we breathe together, and we get ourselves recalibrated for the challenges of the week ahead, because we know there's going to be challenges for each one of us. And so the dream is actually happening. This is what unity feels like. And I think we know what my friend Edie would say to that. Glory be to God.